hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years. I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and an absolutely interesting new report just came out, and it's talking about exactly why Disney did delay the Snow White film, which has a bulging budget of nearly $330 million, and that's not even updated. That's from like last September or something like that. And, and how they might feel about perhaps the most hated actress in Hollywood, Rachel Zegler, who's about to have a new box office tanker come out with her Hunger Games prequel after losing $200 million on her West Side Story musical. I'm sure Disney was looking at that and a little concerned. Well, now a new report is out telling exactly what drew them to make that decision. By the way, if you are looking to support the channel, coffeebrandcoffee.com is my coffee company. It's not some drop shipping outlet. We roast our own coffee. We fulfill our own coffee. They're all staff of Coffee Brand Coffee. We have delicious fall flavors. We have K-Cups. We have a dozen organic teas. We have 4 real cacao cocos. We've got K-Cups. Promo code The Quartering. I would absolutely love to earn your business today. Try those fall flavors, the butterscotch toffee, the pumpkin pie, and the spiked jack-o'-lantern. I'd get all 3 because they're going away in a few weeks, making room for our Christmas flavors. But definitely consider supporting the channel over there. Don't forget, our gift boxes are rolling out next week. They're wildly popular and sell out every Christmas. So I know it's early, but just warning you. Exclusive. Disney delayed Snow White over fears it would be a financial disaster and flop like Cats, as controversy continues after Rachel Zegler's woke tirade at weird original plot with stalker prince. Disney is said to be delaying its upcoming Snow White remake in a bid to avert a financial disaster, with producers reportedly fearing it will tank the box office and cripple any chance of future spin-offs. Now, I don't really know how delaying the film fixes that. Part of the problem is that they have buried themselves in debt. $330 million in expenses, and now they have to go back and redo the CGI and all the dwarves. Let's just say extremely, I would say a range. Let's just give it a range. Somewhere between 350 and 400 million is going to be what this film ends up costing. Remember, Disney takes half of what the box office earns. So if it made $1 billion at the box office, Disney would take $500 million. If the budget is $330 million, that doesn't even include advertising. Remember, people usually double that. So you're looking at a total budget range of somewhere between, I don't know, 550 to 650 million. Meaning it has to make well over $1 billion just to break even in an era when Disney movies aren't pulling that kind of numbers anymore and haven't pulled those kind of numbers in an extremely long time. Last week, the studio announced it had pushed back the film's release until March 2025, a full year after the scheduled date, citing the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike as a driving force behind the decision. But an insider has exclusively told DailyMail.com that Disney is going to be, quote, figuring out what to do after making its $330 million turkey. And it is looking to Tom Hooper's widely panned Cats as a guide of what to avoid. The decision comes after Rachel Zegler, 22, who plays the main star, launched a woke tirade at the original weird plot with a stalker prince, despite having only watched the 1937 animation a single time and as a child. Now remember, at that time, this is, there are a lot of people that turned on her, even on TikTok, which is like, coincidentally, TikTok is something that is pretty interesting. It's heavily Gen Z, it's heavily left leaning, and it's very, very interesting that they even turned against her. Quote, Disney had to delay Snow White because they spent so much money on it, and it's a financial disaster at the box office. Oh, and if it's a financial disaster at the box office, it might single-handedly cripple the future remake and potential Snow White sequels that they already have planned. So I guess you could say, hey, if they break even or something like that on this Snow White film, and then it opens the door to sequels that could be more profitable, they have a longer plan. Obviously, I'm sure Disney has some sort of theme ride, stuff for the theme parks set around this movie, and all that kind of stuff too. Quote, they also have to remove themselves from the bad taste in the mouths of online critics and want to instead deliver a great film and get to the point where they get it right. Well, I'm not sure you can even get it right in terms of, you have this massive budget. I mean, I don't foresee more people in 2025 going to the box office than did in 2024. The traditional movie theater experience is no longer as appealing to a lot of people. I mean, there were people that were permanently damaged by the coof, for example, that will never go back to the movie theater. There are people like me who, while we were locked down for months on end, decided, hey, well, why don't I just put together a nice little home theater? I bought a little popcorn maker off Amazon that was like $150. That's like 4 outings to the movies. Now I can make my own movie theater popcorn at home. All this kind of stuff. Now it takes a ton for me to actually go out and see a movie in the theater, like Oppenheimer or something like that, which means I'm a guy that went to, 10 to 20 movies a year. Now I go to 1 to 2, and I'm sure that there are more people like me out there. And I mean, the numbers prove that. Quote, they realize that they are overthinking things, and now they're reining it in a little bit more. The upcoming production, the latest in a long line of Disney remakes, has been mired in controversy. Bosses first came under fire for casting Colombian-American Zegler as the lead, despite the story being about a traditionally fair German princess with skin as white as snow. Then they announced that the magical creatures would replace the 7 dwarves to avoid reinforcing stereotypes after Game of Thrones actor Peter Dinklage criticized the effing backwards story. I'm sure that they're happy they listened to him, right? And I mean, I would say the fact of the matter is they probably did. They probably did overthink it. I mean, they were like, it's just Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. It's in the title. Then for them to go out and say, well, we actually want to make it Snow White and the 7 magical creatures, all this kind of stuff. I'm not sure that, who were they trying to please? Because TikTok didn't like it, and that's who I would have thought they wanted to please. Nobody likes Rachel Zegler. So it's extremely odd. I'm not sure who they were trying to please. Probably the 7 woke weirdos that work there and have insane power. Earlier this year, a mix of men and women of different ethnicities with a real dwarf among the number were pictured in filming, but they appear now to have been replaced by CGI. According to The Insider, producers and crew members are said to be trying to learn from the mistakes they made with films such as Sonic the Hedgehog, which was forced to push back its original release after viewers slated Sonic's appearance following the first trailer reveal. The thing is, they actually went out and fixed it, right? They went out and did it. So, and then fans went out and supported Sonic. I went to it twice. According to The Insider, producers and crew members, they also said to be looking at Cats, starring Taylor Swift, Judi Dench, and James Corden, which flopped at the box office on its release in 2020 and is generally considered one of the worst movies of all time. They just need some time to figure it out, plus we're still dealing with the strikes, the source said. Well, I'm not exactly sure what you thought, what you're going to figure out, because, ultimately, people don't like her. She has completely alienated. Now, I will say this. There is time, okay? There is time to cover, to maybe send her out there on a redemption tour to clarify her statements and say, hey, I don't know what I was talking about. It was, I'm the one that's weird, and, go from there. But ultimately, you're not going to get back. Maybe you might get back 10%, 15% of those people. Sure, it's possible. It turns out as a perfect storm right now, but they're embracing the change and anticipate it all to work out and exceed expectations. The work starts now. They added that they also had to delay the movie because they not only have to make it the best they can, but there are a lot of toys that they have to prepare. So they need the dwarves and the rest of the characters to look exactly like who they're supposed to be. Producers are said to have U-turned on their decision to include diverse range of actors to play the dwarves after receiving backlash from Dinklage, who has acron form of dwarfism. Literally no offense to anyone, but I was a little taken aback when they were very proud to cast a Latina actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, he told Mark Macron on his WTF podcast last year. Take a step back and look what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way and still making an effing backward story about seven dwarves in a cave together. I mean, I don't know. Again, I've talked about this. I guess, but the movie is called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You see, Snow White's a live-action movie designer denies controversial dwarves report. Well, I don't know about that because it sure seems like a wild change. Nobody around this movie seems to get anything right. Snow White is not the first Disney live-action remake to face heavy criticism. Well, people still went out and saw movies like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and I think most of them actually did pretty good. This particular one, I don't know. You see, according to Nadia Stacy and her team, who's doing hairstyle and makeup for Disney's live-action Snow White, the seven dwarves are in the film from the get-go, and those seven bandits belong to Andrew Burnap's character, Jonathan, who's the leader, two different groups. So they show this. So here she is with the CGI dwarves, and here his group is of the culturally diverse magical creatures. It's going to be very interesting to see. I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't Disney just come out and correct this? It's going to be an absolute disaster, and I'm 100% here for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.